What up? It's Mangala here, the Reverend of the Revolution. Welcome to your Daily Revolution. Today's topic, the one thing that makes you 10 times more money. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, welcome to the podcast. Happy Thanksgiving to those of you who listened to this before or on Thanksgiving. What an incredible year we've had so far. 2018 was a special year in my heart. A lot of work, a lot of lives touched and changed, a lot of product out the door, a lot of programs, and just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for choosing to live a life of integrity. Thank you for being your word. So look, there's one thing that's going to change everything, and I'm going to take this back with the story. So I'm sitting here in Orem, Utah, where I grew up. In Orem, Utah, I went to Mount View High School, went to Brigham Young University, and now I live in California, SoCal. And by the way, it is freezing here. My goodness, I can't believe I used to live here because I'm ready to go back to the warm weather. But that's besides the point. The reason I'm sharing this with you, this context of living in Orem, is I grew up and I used to see myself a certain way. I saw myself a very specific way. And that way was, I will rip your face off on the football field. I will beat you. I will dominate you. I will outwork you. I will out-hustle you. Like, nobody can outwork me. I'm the hardest worker in the room. But then I'd, step off the field and I would change. I would look at myself differently. Like, I just viewed myself in a very different manner. In other words, there's this identity crisis that needed to be changed. Why? Because I saw myself one way on the field, which allowed me to get to the NFL. It allowed me to be part of the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots. But in the business world, I saw myself very different. I saw myself as a brown-skinned brother who didn't belong. Now, why and how, it doesn't matter. The point is that I saw myself this way. So this identity crisis was really getting in the way, because the reality is however you see yourself, whatever your identity is or who you are, that is where you will live. That is how you will live. That is what you will do. And in order to change the behavior and how you dream and how big you dream, you've got to change the way you look at yourself, or what we call the identity. I attended a seminar 9 years ago. And the speaker said this, I think his name is Harv Eker. He talked about the thermostat. And this is in a book called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And he talks about this thermostat. If you want to increase the temperature in the room, you've got to turn the thermostat up. And wherever the thermostat is set, that's what happens in the room. If you turn the thermostat down, the room gets cooler. Well, it's the same thing in our lives today. So many people today, they only see themselves as deserving just enough money to pay their bills, just enough money to be grateful, just enough money to just get by. Because that's what their identity is. That's how they see themselves. That's how they've created themselves. They've never taken the time to change the identity. And if you could really see yourself for what could be possible, like you'd increase, right? That you would dial up the temperature or the power in who you're being, to the point where it would change your behavior. Now, why did I dominate in the football field? Because my identity in the football field was, I'm going to beat you. Like, you cannot outwork me. I'm the hardest worker in the room. And something changed when I would get into the business room. Now, that's all different now. I know, back then, I didn't think I deserved it. I didn't think I needed it. And part of it, I wanted it, but not really, because I didn't think it was possible, and I didn't think I was deserving of it. In other words, my identity kept me where I was. Which means what? If you want to change how you see yourself and see the world, you've got to change the identity. And how do you change your identity? You've got to tell a different story. Now, I'm going to cover this a little bit quickly. You might need to listen to this a few times. There's 3 fundamental truths that allow you to create a completely new self. Number 1 is the story that you believe the most about yourself is the story that you tell the most about yourself. Number 2, our behavior and action always aligns with what we believe to be true about ourselves and about the world. So number 1, the story that you believe the most about yourself is the story that you tell the most about yourself. Number 2, your behavior and your actions will always align with what you believe to be true, especially about yourself and about the world. And number 3, you will always have these stories, quote, truths about yourself and the world. Like, you'll never not have stories. We call these things stories. Now, what does this have to do with you? You see, the problem is most people tell a story about themselves that's just not powerful, it's not useful, it's not relevant. It's a made-up story that's very non-powerful. Like, I'm not good enough, I don't belong, I'm not worthy. Look at me, look at the color of my skin, look at the size of my boobs or my butt or my biceps or I'm not tall enough, I'm not short enough, I'm not whatever enough. Right? That's just, you're not enough. That's kind of what the story is. I don't belong, I'm not worthy of success. God doesn't want me to be wealthy. Woe is me. I'm just a victim. Like, if only I was in the right place. And these are stories, they don't work. I used to tell these stories for a long time. It kept me where I was. Because guess who was telling the story? I was. And guess who had the power to change the story? I did. And you do for you. Now, whatever story you've been telling yourself, it just runs consciously, like on loop. It just doesn't ever stop. It just is on conscious and subconscious. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve it. I'm never going to be an entrepreneur. I'll never make $10 million. And most people, they think in terms of the nevers, the negatives and the nevers, and I can't. See, that's up to you to tell a different story, because the story that you believe the most about yourself is the story that you're telling the most about yourself. What would happen if you just told a different story? What would happen if you changed your identity by telling a different story? Why? Because look at fundamental truth number 2, which says what? Our behaviors always align with what we believe to be true. And if you believe that you deserve $5 or $10 million, that you deserve to have a lifestyle of luxury and an impact and contribution, that you deserve to make a difference and to utilize the talents that God has given you, that you deserve and that you want and that you are worthy and that you are good enough and that you do matter and that you are powerful. If you told that story more times than not, and if you started to believe that story, guess what would happen to your behaviors? They would actually line up with that belief, with that new story, that who told you, that you create the story, you tell the story. Now, fundamental truth 1, 2, and 3. The story you believe the most about yourself is the story that you tell the most about yourself. Number 2, your behaviors and actions always align with the things you believe to be true. Number 3, you'll always have stories. So you're always going to have a story. Like, you'll never not have a story. Right now, you have a story while you're listening to this. You might be saying, man, Sateman's full of crap. Or, man, I think there's some truth here. But just take a look at your life right now. The results that you have today, the way you're living today, how you believe about yourself and the world, that's because you've been telling yourself a specific story for however many years you've been alive. You go to church, they're telling you stories. Again, and when I say stories, I'm not saying that they're not true. When you listen to these advertisements, like Nike, they're telling a story. They're trying to get you to believe that you're better off with Nike. The Rock in his Under Armour collection, he does the same thing. Again, story selling, storytelling. So what does this have to do with you? What if you started to tell a different story every single day? What if you started to create a new story about who you are and you started to change your identity and you started to see yourself as this powerful person, this person who deserves wealth, this person who is hungry to succeed, this person who is capable to learn and to become and to level up his or her life? What would happen if you started to do this every single day? I will tell you what happens. You make more money, you have greater connection with your spouse, you have greater intimacy with your spouse, you have a greater communication and openness and love with your children. You make more money because you're more powerful. You start to, you change your identity. And it's so powerful the way it happens. I've seen this happen in my own life as a coach. 10 years ago, literally 10 years ago, to the week, 10 years ago, I'm getting evicted from a home in Provo, Utah. Right? Millions of dollars lost. Millions of dollars of property lost. Millions and millions and millions. And then we would go on this path of losing everything. But how did I change all of it? How did I get back to the point where I can coach people and really make a difference in your life and leaders and executives and entrepreneurs. How did I do that? By telling a different story every single day, by creating this new identity. Not the identity of I'm just a Polynesian who barbecues chicken and plays the guitar. I do that, and believe me, if you ever come to SoCal, I will make you my island chicken. Oh, it's so good. But I can also speak and teach and help people to change the stories. So much of the stories that we tell, they're not powerful, they're not even true, they're not useful, which means what? You have the power to change the story today. Start telling a different story, because you're always going to have the stories. Fear and doubt, those are stories. I'm not good enough, those are stories. I don't feel like doing the work because I'm not good enough and blah, 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 blah. That's a story that you're telling yourself. And behaviors always align with what you believe to be true, aka the story. If the story is, I believe it, I deserve it, I want it, I'm capable, I am enough, I'm powerful, I'm a person of my word, I can do hard things, I work smart, I'm a 5-star husband, I'm a 5-star daddy, or a 5-star mother, 5-star, your behavior will align. So my invitation to you, will you start to tell a different story? If this is helpful and this is useful, and you want to see what it's like to have a coach to actually help you do this, just reach out to me. Let's get on the phone and have a conversation. I'd love to help you change the story. If I could do it, a boy from Orem, Utah, if I can change my life and help change hundreds and thousands of other people's lives, like change it, transform it, like level their marriages up, help them to make 10 times more money, become financially free, become greater leaders and contributors of society. If I could help them, there's absolutely a possibility that I could help you. Thank you so much for listening. Go change your life by changing your story, by changing your identity. Start telling a different story. And happy Thanksgiving. God bless you. I love you. I'll see you on the next podcast. For more info on joining the revolution and living your greatest life of prosperity today, go to www.yourdailyrevolution.com and join us in waking up, turning your brain on, and prospering today.